Welkom in de Voorkamer, waar u hoort wat er in de achterkamertjes wordt bekokstoofd. We gaan praten over de nieuwe wereld en het politiek ecosysteem. In de geest van Willem Oltmans laten we die mensen aan het woord die van het establishment niet gehoord mogen worden. Vandaag gaan we het gesprek aan met Ike Novikoff uit Finland. Hello, Ike. Welcome. Good to have this interview, Ike. I will introduce myself to the Finnish audience, and then I would like you to introduce yourself to the Dutch audience. My name is Maurits, Falkenreck. Since 2001, I'm an IT entrepreneur and inventor and artist, also founding father of the Parallel Society in the Netherlands, which has been copied by the political party Forum for Democracy. I've written several books, also in English, about the parallel society and implemented this by launching a movement to create a parallel society under the name The New Zell in 2017, 2018. I'm also the brain behind the model, the political ecosystem, a model that makes the dynamics of our society and the politics involved transparent. And basically this idea, this model, also forms the current political foundation of the narrative of the party Forum for Democracy. They have relabeled it as system opposition, system press, system politics. Today I would like to discuss with you the current status, the political landscape in the Netherlands, so what's happening, mainly focusing on the new party, the Boer-Burgerbeweging, the farmers movement, and tell you a little bit more about that development. But anyhow, please introduce yourself so people in the Netherlands have an idea about your background.
Thank you, Maurits, for the introductions, and it raises many interesting questions. Yeah. I've been entrepreneur since 1999. Started also with IT. Was in banking. I've been doing a lot of in advertising and media. And since 2014 running a media company, first in San Francisco and in South Africa, and now here in Finland. We are currently at my family farm. This farm dates back to the 1520, okay, and belongs to our family since 1820. I think I'm the 7th generation farmer here, so that's why I'm very moved to the topic of farming.
Yeah.
I was a founder of opposition party VKK that we founded during the pandemic first years, 21, and we had one parliament representative. And I was very much involved in the writing the party program. It was based on the ideology of Santeri Alkio, who was the first signee of our independence declaration. His model was decentralized society, where he believed that the society can only function when it's decentralized. Now we are seeing the maximized centralized system, yeah, EU and the government. So kind of I brought that old functioning ideology, how this country was built, into the politics. Good to see from I was the first founder and first chairman. Good to see the whole politics and the whole circus and the whole show, the whole fake opposition, how it's always brought up, how there is always a rising star, how they divide and conquer, how this all functions. And as with my background, knowing media and seeing that all happen, it raised the question that what is actually meaningful? Is it meaningful to fight a political fight, or is it meaningful to really start building a parallel society? And we started then back a few years ago with the distributed society and parallel economy and parallel society, and I think that's one of the topics we're going to touch today.
Yeah, I'm very happy to talk to someone who touches all these fields, and you have a very extensive background to understand really what's going on within politics and also how it relates to media. But let me give you an insight in the current status in the Netherlands. That might be a starting point. High level. So the current status in the Netherlands is that Forum for Democracy lost its momentum and its credibility with the large audience. The party leader, you probably know him. I think you even interviewed him,
Yes.
Thierry Baudet. He has lost his reputation by making silly comments in interviews such as that we are led by reptilians. Of course, he didn't mean this literally, but the damage is done when a politician uses these words. Next to this party losing momentum, in the last 4 years, the established order seems to have created a controlled opposition. And this party, I referred to it before, is called BBB. It doesn't stand for Build Back Better. It stands for Boer-Burgerbeweging, Farmer Civilian Movement. It was established in 2019 to counterattack the growth of conservative opposition parties and to have a political strategy to seize the land of farmers, because that started to appear shortly after this whole discussion of we have too many farmers and we should basically take their land for other purposes. The last elections for the Senate, so in this year, this party, Boer-Burgerbeweging, they won by a landslide, a never seen before landslide, fooling the majority of voters in the Netherlands. So their success, for a big part, is caused by the real opposition party, which is Forum for Democracy. They're still the only real opposition because the leader most likely alienated voters from him. As a movement, it's still big, but as a political party, it's going down rapidly. And point in case is that during the last elections for the Senate, 40% of Forum for Democracy voters did not vote. And again, also the fact that the party leader is monetizing his member base will for sure keep the party in terms of seats in parliament small and insignificant, because people see through this. So the political arena has been polluted even more, but now by the right-wing parties in terms of real opposition who blew it by silly actions. They had a huge momentum years ago when Forum for Democracy was still run by not only Baudet, but by his co-founder Henk Otte. And at that moment in time, they were a real power to reckon with. So the silly actions and also this this monetizing part, not serving the members, but basically serving more the pockets of the party. And of course, the fact that this Boer-Burgerbeweging fooled a tremendous number of voters looking for an end to the insane policies of the current government. That is really creating a much worse situation politically for people who really want to see some change happening. So for me, the only way forward in the Netherlands, in my opinion, is not through politics, but it's through a new initiative, which is called Ik de Burger. It stands for I, the civilian. And I also believe in that in the background, the creation of the parallel society needs to be pursued more. And then, of course, really serve citizens. If you want, I can touch upon Ik de Burger shortly. Yeah. So you understand what it is, what is making the change. I actually interviewed the founder of this initiative, Caroline Vonhoff. She is a top attorney and daughter of one of the smartest Dutch politicians and a great historian, Henk von Hoff. The initiative, first of all, explains to people that freedom is innate. So rights are not granted by politicians and civil servants. They simply don't have a mandate. And people think they have a mandate, but they don't. So new laws which attack the individual sovereignty can be and should be dismissed by citizens because otherwise silence is consent. And the initiative Ik de Burger, they write official letters to lawmakers, politicians concerning new laws to tell them they don't have a mandate, and therefore the people who sign this letter are not bound to these laws. And last but not least, when the king attacks individual sovereignty of the people, he loses the grace of God, and with it, government, the parliament, and the civil service loses their administrative power. So the whole system is then useless. Ik de Burger, so this initiative, is the key to not only mobilize people, but also effectively take away the power of this dark totalitarian government, because they correct the illegitimate action that they're pursuing. And the bizarre thing is, when I spoke to this woman, she was actually explaining our true rights, and we have forgotten about them. So she said it's so important to create awareness for that we are sovereign, and to approach these lawmakers in a way that she's doing, to tell them you don't have a mandate. And if that starts to happen, you can actually get some movement that will attract a lot of people to support it, because it's non-political. It's not about a certain political agenda. This is about something that everybody concerns. It's your individual sovereignty. So I believe that such an initiative could work very well in Finland as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think in terms of, we are taught to speak and we are taught to count, and we are taught, some going to study physics, some philosophy, some going to do art. Art is a language. I mean, Dutch is a language, Finnish is a language, and I find that law is a language, and that's something we are not taught, which we should have been taught. Our rights, what are the God-given rights? What are the basic? Where do the laws come from? What are the fundamental? What's the natural law? What's the God's law? How do you roll back in a legal system, and how do you preserve your individual rights or reclaim them back?
Yeah.
So I find that very, very interesting and very good. We have done something like that, but in a much smaller scale, but it has gotten traction, and where we are looking at different illegal actions from the government. I mean, what was really fantastic about this last 3 years was this tyrannical setting of this new kind of rules and initiatives that were not even laws, that were then applied by the officials as laws. And it kind of taught people a lot, that they started reading constitution, started understanding that, wow, that actually Finland has the third oldest constitution in Europe as a republic. And we are really now, we are confronting really fundamental questions. We have the defense forces that have conscript and an oath to God to protect this country. And I have been requesting for the last month the status of our oath, because it says very clearly that what we need to protect is the sovereignty of the country and the republic, where it's a constitutional people's republic. So I haven't got an answer from only political answers from the defense forces. So we are really, this is really teaching us a lot, and I hope as we establish this session that we would have a frequent information exchange, that we could learn from each other what's going on. If I give a snapshot about the Finnish political landscape, it's basically dead now. We had one representative, as I mentioned, a party was called VKK, Power Belongs to the People. But when I hear you speaking, it's like you're repeating the same thing that happened here. We had a
Only
huge
different labels. Huh?
only different labels. We had a
Yeah.
huge momentum, and because we had a great founding team and experience also. We had a parliamentary working experience. So kind of we really jump started a big train that was growing and growing and getting momentum. We were every day in the press, and we were took really seriously. We were the only party that invited the Russian ambassador into our party meeting last summer. We don't have any diplomatic dialogue with our neighbor, and that got a huge amount of political respect from the other parties because no one else had any kind of contact with a neighbor that we have border about 1,300 kilometers. But now it's all gone with the same kind of thing. Stupid, silly statements that completely, uh, I mean, you go to this anti-gay agenda or whatever. There's all kind of and what it led to the destruction. And we had parliament elections a month ago, and the party got 8,000 votes, which is nothing. It's I mean in that whole country, and what happened then, because the kind of the same thing happened that there was that there were then other parties, new parties were founded. They also didn't get enough traction in the elections. Someone claiming there are votes missing. Whether or not there are votes missing, it wouldn't have not been sufficient. There should have been a landslide victory in the politics. So we have a center that is playing for the farmers. It's a center party that's kind of playing to the hearts of the farmer. They have been one of the biggest parties throughout the Finnish history. They lost. They became a marginal party. They are 10% party, led by a World Economic Forum young global leader. We have a Social Democrats led by a young global forum leader. We have a right-wing party led by a young global.
The Farmers Party is also led by.
Yes,
Yeah?
but it's not a true Farmers Party anymore. It was hijacked by the WEF.
Okay.
So they
In the Netherlands, that would compare to it's called CDA. That's the Christian political party known to basically protect the interests of farmers.
Mhm.
Is there a new farmer political movement in Finland?
No, there is not. And kind of when we look at the status is that we have lost about 50,000 farms since we joined the EU. We have about 5,000 left. So, and every day there is 1 to 3 quitting. The issue is that if you look at, I have here several farmer friends, and I told them that if you explain them the business model of farming in this country, if I would be a business model consultant, I would throw them out of the meeting and say that come up with a better business model, because all of them we have about 5,000 meat producers, and they all have a one client. In some cases, but basically one client. So there is 2 big butcheries, one of them is smaller one, and all those butcheries, all those 2 butcheries, they have 2 clients because we have only 2 supermarket chains.
Yeah.
Lidl has come to the market 20 years ago. They have some 4, 5, 6% market share, but the majority, 40, 50% belongs to the 2 major supermarket chains, and they control the price. So the prices in the supermarkets are 30, 40, 50, 60% higher than in Germany.
Yeah.
But the producer get less. So in Germany, the producer gets more and the food is cheaper. In our case, the producer gets less and the food is more expensive. So the equation is just impossible. And now there is no farmers movement simply because the farmers have been driven in such a tight financial conditions that they are running with a low workforce, working themselves out. And they simply, your choices are either to quit or to take more debt and try to survive. So I don't see that the political party for the farmers would have a lot of traction at this moment. And I think that this kind of initiative that you were talking, that where we are talking about our fundamental rights and outside of politics and parallel society, that's something that we should be focusing on.
What's the name in Finland of that equivalent of Ik de Burger?
It would be I mean, aidot kansalaiset, suvereenit suomalaiset, something like that.
Yeah, because you mentioned something similar is already happening in Finland.
Yes, but it's not organized.
It's not organized.
So
Okay.
it's not organized. It was organized under the political party,
Yeah.
and basically we had a great, as I told you, we had the great train running. So we had the political, we were doing good foreign politics, we were doing good internal politics, all kind of energy politics, farming politics, all that. Plus, we were developing the parallel society, where we were looking at the local currencies on top of the crypto chains, which are based on real value. So
Yeah.
as a farmer, you can say that I will produce 5,000 liters of milk. One liter of milk equals one currency, and another farmer produces chopped wood, and one produces childcare services,
Yeah.
and a third one and car shop and whatnot. So we were collecting people together and saying that, look, just put value for your time,
Yeah.
write it down, put it, and let's bank it, and completely start moving away from this
And
fiat
do you have a
money.
platform in
Yeah,
Finland for the
yeah.
parallel society, a website?
Well, it's being developed right now,
Okay.
but it's being developed. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there any political party that promotes this parallel society?
As I said, now out of 200 parliament members, we don't have any. We had one which went the same way than you described. So
Yeah.
stupid statements,
Yeah.
egoistic, full self-centric.
That's it. And the VKK, when was the decline? When did it start?
A year ago, about a year ago. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
about a year ago.
Here a little bit sooner, earlier, 2-3 years ago, with
Yeah,
the real opposition party. Okay.
yeah,
Those are quite similar.
yeah. So we know that there are a couple of people in the parliament right now who are suspicious what is going on, but generally there is no opposition, and the people are so brainwashed with the media.
Yeah.
Basically, we have the same situation than in Europe. The media is in hands of few, and I mean, it's not full lies. You can find a lot of truth in the mainstream media, but you have to read really carefully every article and find the 1-2 sentences in between 2-3 pages, and you say that, oh, there you go. But that's missed in the tabloids and in the people's mind, and people are simply so confused, and that kind of the political debate or any kind of that, I find it nonsensical at this moment. I feel more that what we need to look at, for example, we have great. I was talking about this 2 years ago in a lecture. I said that why don't we do because before we had so-called shopping trucks or how would you call it, grocery trucks that were running in the countryside. So it would come 2-3 times a week, and basically the groceries a truck would come to you, and you would walk in, and you have all the main groceries you need. And as I was a child, I grew up, and that was the fun way to go shopping. So I said, why don't we do a reverse grocery shop, where the grocery car goes to the farms and collects the stuff and drives to the city, and the people in the city can buy from the farms. And there was actually a woman who took initiative, and he started one, and it's really booming now.
Do you know that Forum for Democracy is actually doing the same in the Netherlands?
Okay, I didn't know that.
They're doing that. Well, of course, an entrepreneur started doing this, and they were opportunistic enough to search for a collaboration with these entrepreneurs. But it's successful as well. So in this case, Finland was ahead of the Netherlands. So politically, we are ahead, but luckily,
Yeah,
in terms of business, you guys are ahead, and we are following.
yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, there's a tremendous opportunity right now, so we should really find a ways how do we get the smart people around the table. I mean, we're talking about IT and we're talking about data.
Yeah.
So basically, we have all the data we need. We have people's purchasing data. We can aggregate the data. We can say that, okay, in this shop, they sell this much tomatoes per year. Okay, we are not growing tomatoes during the winter, but the Dutch farmers are. So, okay, that's the supply of tomatoes for these people in this city. And then kind of just arrange the logistics and the supply chains so that we skip the big centralized system in between. And that's kind of where I would hope that entrepreneurs, innovators, and software developers, data miners, they would really see an opportunity, because you can do better and you can really provide a better service, a cheaper food, and a better return to the farmers. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist. It's really, really simple, but it requires work and of course a capital. But
your decentralized thinking also promotes the sense of community. So I think it's very good, because when people understand that the food is actually coming from a farm nearby, there's more sense of community, and that's the power we have as people, as individuals, and that's what they're trying to take away from us. So we feel lost and dependent on what the government is wanting us to do.
Yeah, so I've drawn this kind of circles around Finland. I said that you should kind of draw a circle around yourself and say that that's a 200-kilometer circle, and you should start thinking that 80% of my energy and 80% of my food should come inside this circle, because it is there.
Yeah,
it's just about rearranging it, and it's just about do the logistics differently and supply chain differently and payments different, and that's it. You don't need to put it there; it's there.
It's very good. You mentioned in the beginning something about the Bitcoin, the crypto, the developments in Finland. Could you tell a little bit more about this?
Well, we are now putting the local currency under the very weird. Has never happened before. I mean, what happened here, that my whole laptop went black. Everything.
I tell you what happened. You used the magic word crypto.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
Crypto.
Yeah.
Don't speak. Don't tell the people.
Yeah.
But let's continue from where you were, because you have to go.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that part. Okay.
Yeah. So this, the summary goes like this. There were people who founded FIMK, FIMK.fi, cryptocurrency in 2013. They were really ahead of their time. And basically what they created was to create the blockchain that can create an infinite amount of local currencies on top of it. We thought that we looked at really closely the European Union's legislation, and we found a loophole there, which is designed for the games, the money that is used in buying virtual swords or whatever, and sell them further and gain your currency inside the game. So that's called Local Currency Act. I don't remember exactly how the legislation is called. Anyway, we tested it. These guys found it in 2013. It was before the ban, so it's actually legal. They got an email license, banking license. So the only thing what we cannot do is, of course, operate any euro or any other official fiat currency. We cannot exchange the local currency with any other. But
so it's
the
a closed system.
It's a closed system, but the first where I came from, I wanted to create a local currency that has a substantial value backing it up.
That's much better, because at the end of the day, the crypto is a ledger. So
it's a ledger. It's a bookkeeping. Yeah. I mean, it's a bookkeeping of transactions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing else. But so what can we transact? What can we do? So we had the barter economy before, as you did too. So the problem with the barter economy is that if I have something that you don't want, but you have something that I want, we cannot do barter. So how do you solve that problem? You have many barters, and you have with them a local currency that they barter asset is backed up by. So the more people you have joining in, the more people are basically doing barter, but the exchange method is the local currency. So you can get rid of the idea of barter. So if I want milk and the milk producer doesn't have anything he wants, there is someone who for sure has something that he wants that he can exchange again the currency. And so we are at the stage now that we have collected quite a few people who have listed their assets I listed some firewood, some snow plowing with a tractor, per hour charge, and this kind of things that people need. Someone listed knitting of wool socks. Someone listed childcare per hour. Someone construction work. Someone meat, and so on and so on. So it's also a very good exercise for, I noticed that for many people, to think that what is the value actually that I know and I can, and that you actually have to put a value on that. For entrepreneur, it's a normal, I mean, you have to know how much you are billing, but for a person who has been, let's say, a nanny for 40 years, and suddenly you have to list the value of what you can provide and
Yeah.
develop a sum for that is actually a big step.
Yeah.
So the process has been very fun. I hope we are launched. I mean, the platform is ready. It has been since 2013. Now it's just up to us that when we say that that's enough assets, and then we launch. And nothing prevents of creating this kind of local currencies around the country, around Europe, around the world, which can then exchange among each other. As long as there is no fiat currency involved, we are under EU's legislation and under this gaming, same framework than the games.
Yeah. Did you know, by the way, I just found out recently that um, regarding the EU digital ID and CBDC, that within the coalition of the willing, both the Netherlands and Finland are front runners. They're the
Yeah,
pioneers.
yeah,
So that says a
yeah.
lot.
So Finland, we have been fourth industrial revolution partner. I mean, Finland from the ages. We have a lot of people who, Nokia was the biggest cell phone company back in the days before uh, the deep state, or how you want to call it, took it over, and it was chopped and sold then for pennies. But Nokia employed a lot of talented engineers in Finland, and we had the biggest talent regarding mobile phone technology, all different kind of technologies also around it. So it was the biggest company in terms of R&D spending in the world back in the days. So where are those people now? They have been employed, a lot of the top managements and top engineers and scientists and so on. They have been deployed in the digital currency, digital ID projects around Europe, and especially in the European Union. So there is a lot of involvement. Actually, funny coincidence was that I found out that the Russia is also a fourth industrial revolution partner, and I contacted WEF and asked whether the membership is still valid, and they confirmed, they condemned but confirmed that it's not resigned. And from the Finnish side, I asked the officials that everything else is banned. You cannot talk with the Russians, or you cannot have any kind of business ties. But how come we are same partners in the fourth industrial revolution? And that kind of made them a bit silent and
Wow.
thoughtful, and they gave a political answer. So of course we're watching a play in many ways.
What do you
Uh,
conclude from that information that Russia is part of it?
it's actually we made a news about it, so we're doing a news broadcast also in the television last year, and I stumbled on it. I think maybe it was even when, but I was figuring out the Finnish involvement in the fourth industrial revolution and all that, and then I stumbled up on a web page that says that actually Russia is building a fourth industrial revolution center in Moscow, and they signed the partnership in 2020, October, if I don't remember wrong. So and then I just simply got the confirmation from WEF themselves. So that's pretty interesting. They are pushing really hard digital ID and all biometric legislation also in Russia, as in Ukraine, as everywhere else. So, which
Yeah.
is very interesting, of course.
Aren't the BRICS countries ahead regarding the implementation of the digital currency?
Well, at least according to the press releases, but
Yeah.
it's very interesting if they really release the gold back currency. I mean, it was already, I think, 2017 when the first press releases came out
Yeah.
that they're planning something like that. And because there are now so many and so many want to join, I don't expect to see another Gaddafi's faith, because you cannot take all the BRICS countries at the same time. But the push is hard. You can see it in every BRICS country that, of course, the globalists are pushing hard.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank you for this.
Before we get into, I wanted to still a little bit circle back to the
Okay.
VKK, to the party, what actually happened there. So it was around the convoy demonstrations when the chairman went bananas and called basically every Finn an idiot and so on and so on. And what then eventually happened was this year, February, he just arranged himself a party meeting in his own garage, basically company garage, and changed the leadership, put his wife as a vice chairman, and basically cut off all the. I resigned, I think, one day after the meeting. We didn't recognize it as a legal meeting, so it was an illegal takeover, and that's it. That was a lot of people got disappointed because the opposition was destroyed. There was another opposition party called Freedom Union that was founded in those times that has gotten a lot of traction, but they don't have representation in the parliament. They have in local parliaments, but I mean, as we know, the politics is a game, and the rules are ruthless, and we are kind of. It is really interesting that we see a similar kind of story in this.
The rules are written by the establishment. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to ask you still, like in the end, that now, because I hope that there are Finnish farmers who are watching this. So back into the farming situation. I'm reading here that there's a really hard legislation in Netherlands regarding that you cannot even be a farmer after your farm is confiscated, that there has been a confiscations of farms. So how would you describe to a person that is a farmer but doesn't know what is happening there? What's the status of the farm?
I'll tell you the latest status. The government wants to buy out farmers en masse. So, and if the farmers do not agree, a long-term expropriation procedure will start. The buyout scheme also prohibits Dutch farmers from moving to other countries and starting up farms abroad and grow food, meaning that their knowledge and expertise will be lost. So what the media doesn't tell you is that banks are working closely with the government and to basically bully farmers to quit. The banks simply adjust the credit conditions, and then many farmers are forced to sell their farms. So the most amazing thing is that this BBB, this political party that's supposed to protect the farmers, that they voted against a motion from Forum for Democracy. I think it was last April, so a month ago, which proposed to make it impossible by law to expropriate farmers. So in all fairness, there's only one real opposition party, which is Forum for Democracy, only they're insignificant. And the people, before the last Senate elections, were so convinced that BBB would be the new Forum for Democracy in terms of real opposition. Surprisingly, they didn't even see through this party because they were never taking a stance on the World Economic Forum with regarding to Corona. They also followed the narrative, and still people, purely by this name of we are a movement for the farmers, they actually believed that this would be the new opposition and this would be the new party to vote for. So a lot of it is about people losing faith right now in the political system and in political parties. And yeah, so my takeaway from all this is that if there is a real opposition, a real party that can be considered as opposition, then you can only hope for this party to expand without having all these internal conflicts or all these weird actions going on, resulting in a real opposition party to be insignificant or dissolve.
So we are seeing, like I've been interviewing many doctors, professors, and different fields in the last years, and I have asked everyone in the end that do you think that the system can be changed or saved? And then I haven't got any answer that would have been that yes. So I think really we are seeing the end of this system.
Yeah.
It's going to be pushed somewhere where we don't want it to be, and the only alternative is to build us one to the side.
Yeah, and also the politicians themselves are actually cooperating in ending the system as we know it. Because if we look at the policies regarding CBDC in the Netherlands, there was a motion which asked the government not to agree to the Council's conclusion on European digital identity. And it was the first time, never happened before, that a motion that has been passed in Dutch Parliament is not followed by the cabinet. So this shows that national sovereignty is de facto already gone and the power lies with the European Commission and the European Council. And like you said, I think we're heading towards a supranational government. And the fact that the cabinet did not follow this motion, which is unprecedented, is because our cabinet consists of key people who are very important within this organization, World Economic Forum. So our prime minister is a prominent person within the WEF, and some other political players are also key people within this organization.
I think the system that it's so far already that that kind of WEF and those they are already they became meaningless players. I think that it's already like gone. I don't know. I don't even hope anymore. I think it's gone already, the system, and we are just seeing the crumbles or kind of the last steps and where it's heading. And I thank you for this discussion. Let's continue this, and especially the new ideas and the parallel society. I want to learn much more. What are you up to? And I think this is the way. I mean, we are as you started very well. We are free, and so we should reclaim that and feel that and act like that.
I'm really happy with this interview, and offline I would like to continue discussions on what can be done, literally, like you're doing as well, with new initiatives to empower people. And online, in terms of interviews, it is very useful for the people in the Netherlands to hear what's happening in Finland, to compare notes. So let's stay in touch. I will share developments in my country that might be interesting for people in Finland to hear, who still trust the political system, and the other way around, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maurits. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ike. This is a wonderful interview. The insights are absolutely helpful, and I'd love to continue conversations where we compare notes between Finland and the Netherlands on political developments, developments regarding the parallel society, also the initiative Ik de Burger, something I think should be launched in Finland. So thank you again, and hope to talk soon. Ja, beste kijker, u wil ik natuurlijk ook bedanken. En zoals ik altijd afsluit, laat uw verstand het werk doen.